I may be a little esoteric in today's video because there's something that sort of troubles me about a situation that we're in with the history of everything. As you know, our history now, if you've been following this channel or channels like it, you'll know that people are questioning the history and saying, actually, I think a lot of this is a bit poppycock, really. History, as they say, is his story, if you break the word down. And we know that it's always been written by the victors, of course. And as most of us have only been around for, let's say, 90, 100 years at the very most, generally, we can't vouch for things that have happened in the past because how do we know we weren't there? We get a lot of hearsay. Maybe our parents have told us things and we've got no reason to doubt our parents, of course, and there's evidence of stuff all over the place and we assume that that evidence will hold up and be truthful. Although what with the way that digital media can be mucked about with, evidence can also be mucked about with. And I had a chap on the show the other day, Guy Anderson, who's written a book about Tartaria, Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Kids, which you can still purchase and watch the video, of course. And he's questioning whether the buildings that we have were built when they said they were built, or perhaps it was an earlier empire. Anyway, so history is questionable. But there is this notion at the moment online, and it seems to be proliferating and gaining momentum. And I've started to come across it, and very respectable people are talking about it. And that is about, of course, our earlier history, and they're talking about things like the Anunnaki. Now, I'm fairly new to all of this, I confess, and I'm certainly not trying to dampen down or say any of this is wrong, but there's one element that I find very difficult to swallow, and that's the bit that I want to explain my position in that. Now, this may upset some people, I don't know, because we're all hopefully able to agree to disagree, and people have their opinions, and just because my opinion is different to your opinion, does that really matter? We may share lots of other opinions or ideas, or it may be that we're just very affable and we can get on, but because we have one difference in something, that's no reason to suddenly start name calling or hating. But there's plenty of haters out there anyway. Let me have a slurp of coffee. So the Anunnaki, and I gather, and people can correct me on this because I'm no expert in any of this, is the name sort of given to not a generic type of space person who's supposed to have come down, visited the planets many millennia ago, and decided, you know, either to help the whatever population was there at the time, or hinder them, or a bit of both, really, it seems to me. And from what I understand is these space people came down and they thought, what we want to do is to have some gold, we want to mine, and we need some miners to go down and mine and work for them. And from my readings and what people have told me is that these Anunnaki have created the human species, or man, I should say. Human is a dodgy word these days because it's the colour of man, hue, man, and we've got to be careful with our words, haven't we? So man had been created, man and woman, and they came out quite well, and so then they mucked about with the DNA, and apparently if you look at the DNA helix, there's an anomaly in the middle where it's been spliced together so that we're not properly using all the strands of our DNA. It's something along those lines anyway. So in other words, a number of people are purporting or putting forward this proposition that we were created from something, God knows how, you know, in some laboratory or whatever, in the eons of time, and so therefore that we are a creation of some space people. This is the bit that I struggle with. I'm not arguing that perhaps aliens didn't come to the planet. I'm not saying that. I'm sure that we've been visited and that the history of the planet, if it's round or flat, whatever shape it is, has been here for many, many times, and that civilizations have come in and gone and all of that. I'm not arguing against that. That's most likely the case. But where I struggle, and this is the point of I'm getting to, and this is why it's a little bit esoteric, I suppose, and in a way this is one of those videos that I ought to be sitting in my kitchen puffing my pipe and thinking in Greek great deep thoughts with, you know, great lumps of smoke all over the place. I don't really hold that we could have been manufactured. And the reason I struggle with that thought is this. Firstly, consciousness. To me, when we have to delve deep into ourselves and we say, well, who am I? Who really am I? Am I a flesh and blood being that waddles about this planet and is looking for something to eat, a partner, and to propagate with children and all of that? Is that really it? Is that just the sole process of who I am, like an animal? Or am I somewhat different to the animals in some way, in as much as I seem to be able to think? And I'm not only aware of the present moment now, but I'm also able to ruffle through the memories that I've had. And I am really just the sum total of a bunch of memories, am I not? And I can also garner thoughts about what is likely to happen in the future. And I can even create those images in my mind of what's likely to happen. But I am of the moment now, but I can worry about the past, I can worry about the future, or I can laugh about either, or can be excited, and all this range of emotions. And so am I more than just a body? Yes, clearly I am. And we use the language in such a way, don't we? You know, say my arm, so the arm belongs to us, my head, my mind, my brain, they all belong to something. And it's, to me, it's some innate awareness. I am aware, I'm conscious that I'm alive. I'm conscious that there's stuff out here. It seems that I'm peering out of two eyes, out of a skull, but actually if I withdraw even more back to who I am, I feel I may not even be in the body, but there's something that the brain is tuning into. Anyway, so this is where it gets a little bit confusing and esoteric. But is that as a result of some space people coming down and manufacturing a human or a man or a woman and mucking about with the DNA? And this is where I find it very difficult to say, oh yes, that we are the creation of something else. Because when I get back into my awareness and I just focus on my awareness, whether that's through meditation or just deep cogitation with my pipe, and I'm one with the smoke, as it were, it feels pure and real, and the only real thing there is. And everything else, the world, the 3D world that we're in, just feels like theatre. Just feels like it isn't really there, it's made up. And of course, in some respects, that's true, because everything is energy and vibration. And therefore, everything's moving incredibly fast, and it gives the illusion of being solid. Everything seems out here in this world as a piece of theatre, even though I'm stuck in the body, unless I'm able to quietly withdraw and be just aware of consciousness. And then so I think, how is it that you could be manufactured? And then the other question I ask, and this is the other one, if I was one of the space people and I thought, well, I want to mine this planet and I want to have some slaves to do it, and I'm going to manufacture some sort of thing like a robot, and we'll call it a human, why would I want that creature to think for itself, to have autonomous, or to have a consciousness that would give it free will, that it would want to have free will? Why would I do that? We're creating AI at the moment all over the place. And although there are certain abilities that AI supposedly can do, I think most humans are nervous about creating something that would have its own autonomy and be able to free think. And I think even the people making it will be going, well, obviously we don't want it to take over the complete world and have autonomy and decide, you know what, these humans, we don't need them. We'll eradicate them in whichever way they want to do it. So there's got to be parameters and limitations. Now, some people may say, but that's why they fiddled about with the DNA and we can only use a couple of strands and all 12 strands, whatever it is. I still find it strange that I can feel incredibly one with the universe, or connected to source, or connected to a inner God, if you like, whatever it is, that could possibly be manufactured. And can the source, life itself, be manufactured? I don't think so. So that's where I have this struggle with the idea that we humans are in any way manufactured by some alien, whatever you want to call them. And I think that we, each and every one of us, are, if you like, a droplet, a part and parcel of the universe, a part of what it is to be alive, and that we are unique and yet we are the same, and that we connect and that we are incredibly powerful. And I think that's what the dark forces, who are making our world so grim and down and keeping us low and keeping us working for money and pushing down all these things and using EMFs and 5G and poisoning the water and spraying dark metals to affect our body and all of that. I think that's because they don't want us to realise just how unique and wonderfully powerful that we really are. And so I believe this Anunnaki thing about being created is probably a myth, again, to make us feel inferior to a creator, when I believe that the creator is deep within us, and that's what we need to find our inner power, and we can solve this spiritual battle that's going on at the moment.